Okay, so another week in pandemic land. Glad we all made it. Glad we're all here. Part two, gluten free. We're going to be focusing on gluten free today and then sugar free on Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Wednesday. So I'm really pumped to dive deeper into this. We're going to be talking a lot more just about the mentality side of things, about how we have to kind of watch how we're putting the energy we're putting out there in regards to the change we're making, because we're never going to feel good about something we feel we have to apologize for doing. If you have to feel like you have to apologize to the world for being gluten free, or because you might get made fun of or people won't take you seriously or anything, that's not the energy you want to be putting out there. The energy you want to be putting out there is that you eat delicious food that helps you feel great and that you live a great life with great quality of life. And if people don't like that, that means gluten-free, they don't have to live it. So let's switch over to our whiteboard. Okay. So you guys know me. You know that I love the chat. I want to hear, commentary from you guys as I am diving into this. So, oh, it does look like Christmas, but they're like pool balls, if you can say. I don't know. I got it. I don't know. My whole boob was on the computer, but I got it from Poshmark. It was like $8. I love scouring Poshmark for stuff, like weird old stuff. So, okay. Stop apologizing for being gluten-free. That's the number one. I guess I actually want to ask you guys, if you can type in the comments, give me something to go off of here. But in your experience, what has been the most embarrassing moment of being gluten-free, or what do you feel like makes you feel self-conscious about being gluten-free from what you've noticed? From what I remember when I first went gluten-free, people, well, yeah, Tara, that was the thing. Well, you're not allergic. There's no such thing as an allergy. You don't have celiac, blah, blah, blah. It was annoying. You had to travel like, oh my God, so far. I have to drive like an hour away to find a store that even had gluten-free bread. And it was awful. Like, you think the options now are bad? Oh my God. A few years ago, it was just like, this is just a box. This might have more flavor. And it was like $12 for a loaf this big. I mean, not much has changed all that much, but at least we got options now, So everyone always thinks it's a fad. I hate that, because it's also like, here's the thing. If it is a fad, let's say, what business is it of anyone else's what you choose to eat? Who cares? People love to make commentary about things that you try to do when you're trying to get healthy. They don't make a commentary, at least to your face, when you're eating things that could potentially be harmful to you. But, like everybody loves to be a health expert. And if you really notice, the people who make the commentary are not particularly healthy people either. Like, I could see if their whole life was dedicated to the science of nutrition and that's genuinely their opinion. Annoying, but whatever. But when Joe Schmo, the mechanic, likes to tell you that gluten isn't a thing to worry about, it's like, did you just need to talk today? Like, it's crazy. Let's see. I don't know if I'm self-conscious about it, but I hate how it's more expensive to get the gluten-free option. Yeah. Yep. It's annoying. And the thing is too, that it becomes more like higher carb usually. So if you look at the label on regular loaf of bread, sometimes even it's lower carb than the gluten-free bread. And that's because for gluten-free, to make it so that it's not crazy expensive, like, you guys see the price of almond flour. Imagine if all our bread was made from almond flour, it'd be like crazy pricey. So to cut corners but stay gluten-free, they use rices, corn, potato starch, stuff like that ends up just being bulk. So it's like a double-edged sword for sure. How long can you do this? You'll be eating bread soon. Then they ask you, are you still gluten-free? Like, they're doubting me. Honestly, you'll be eating bread soon. Whenever somebody says to me that they don't believe in me, that I won't stick to something, I make them very uncomfortable, to be honest with you. That's something that's been worked on as I've gained confidence. I was a like raging people pleaser my entire life, so I would have never in the past. But there is a certain kind of pleasure derived from seeing somebody not know what to say and knowing it's just simply because you called them out on something rude that they said. So if someone was like, like, oh, you'll be back to eating like, the good stuff, soon. And I'd be like, so do you just straight up not believe in me that I have any control over myself? And they'd just be like, no, I'm just saying bread is great. Yeah, and I'm fine with what I do, but thank you for your input. And then if they say anything else, it's like they're real schmucks. So the way you get there is to throw out the fear of people not liking you, but that is for our phone calls. That is a much longer lesson. Finding good textured bread. Yep. Oh God. Yep. The days were really grim. Because I've been gluten-free on and off because you guys forget that I was literally in the same boat. And it was like phases of giving a damn about my health and phases and like really being gung-ho. And then like, well, screw this. Like everything sucks and I'm over it. Give me the fucking bread. Like it just went back and forth. So I was actually gluten-free off and on since I was like 21, so like 9 years. I don't know if that helps any of you guys hearing that it was a journey. I've been absolutely strictly gluten-free except for when I was in Italy and Greece because vacation, I don't care. Give me my pasta on the toilet. But, I've been really gluten-free for, I want to say maybe 4 years now. Yeah. So if anybody ever gets down on yourself about not knowing exactly how to do this perfectly, there you go. It took a long time. At least you guys get my recipes now. So when people want to cook for you and you have to turn them down because they're not cooking gluten-free, that's a really good one. Okay. So the way you handle that one is don't turn them down. But also don't feel easier said than done. I realize this, but don't take it as a bad thing necessarily. I straight up will look at someone and be like, that is so sweet of you. I really, really appreciate that. I'm going to be honest with you. My stomach is a little tricky, so I'm a little bit of a pain in the ass. So your best bet, honestly, if you're going to make something would be if you could just make like something plain meat or something. I'll bring the bread for myself. Like I tell them that, like I plan on substituting and bringing that for me so you don't have to worry about it. But just so you know, like I can't eat a lot of stuff because you also don't, if you're thinking about it and you're like, yeah, but I'm telling them to make a special arrangement for me. Well, what do you think kind of feels worse? To be told that you don't want them to cook for you? It's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't moment. However, it only feels that way. Once you see that they're receptive to it, because hopefully the person offering to cook for you is a nice person. And when they hear that, they're like, oh yeah, they want to make something you can have typically. Think of someone who's coming to your house and they had, a food issue and they told you like that. You wouldn't be like, what an asshole. Take back that invite. You'd be like, okay, let me make sure that I make the right thing. And if anything, providing them with clear cut, like just stick to a meat, that takes a lot off their shoulders too. So I don't know if that helps. Okay, so you're on a diet. No, I'm taking care of myself. Nice. Can you even eat blank? Actually, no. Can y'all make an exception? And then 0 compromise, and then they bring in donuts and brownies anyway. The big thing with that is don't expect it to be anybody else's problem. Like granted, family member, like immediate family and like the households, that should be kind of a collaborative effort to some degree. But outside, you have to kind of assume that anybody who does not experience what you experience doesn't get it. And if they don't get it, the extent of their empathy, it's just how much they know how to act. Like it's not going to be genuine. It's just going to be if they know how to accommodate you. And most people who aren't people pleasers, which I as a people person was shocked to find out that most people are not people pleasers, don't give a damn. So, if they're gonna say something and they're giving you backlash about it, like it being gluten-free or whatever, it's probably because they just don't want to be bothered. So at that time, you just kind of write them off and bring your own stuff with you, knowing that they're not going to have your back. and just enjoy your delicious ass pastries. Maybe bring some extra to be passive aggressive and pass it around to the office. And then have a nice big bowl of hormone-free whatever the hell you want when you get home. But nobody gives a damn, honestly, outside. If it's not directly affecting them, that is the number one thing I've realized. It is very hard to find empathetic people who haven't been through some shit themselves. So, okay, back to the whiteboard. Thank you guys for that. That was a good warm-up. So, why are you ashamed? Remember that, I feel that the women that come to me a lot of times are just used to being gaslit. And for those of you who didn't see the narcissist videos I did or haven't heard of it, gaslighting is basically making somebody else feel crazy for thinking or feeling the way that they do. We get gaslit by doctors who don't really dive in deeply and they just kind of assume something at face value. We get gaslit by society when it comes to our bodies, just assuming that it must be our fault if we're a certain weight, all of these things. But I want you to keep remembering that remind yourself who is responsible for being the asshole in the situation. Pardon if there's kids listening. I am very sorry, but I'm going to say asshole like 3 more times. But, you have to remember and put it back on the other person, that if you are somebody who hears that somebody is eating a certain kind of way and you make fun of that you are the problem, not the person eating that way. The person making fun of the person is a bully. And just like we would teach children not to tolerate bullies and that bullies are not okay, we got to lead by example too. Screw that. Eat all your delicious gluten-free stuff. But beyond that, just to kick us off, keep that in mind. You can never be flustered or embarrassed or ashamed if you keep it in mind that if somebody else is pushing on you and making you feel this big about something you're doing for yourself that harms and involves nobody else, they're the problem, not you, for just existing. Okay, so simple ways to live without consuming, oh, I have a typo, it's gonna bother me, but without consuming gluten. Order stuff that you know is gluten-free, naturally. That is the best. If you're afraid to go to like a restaurant, I'm gonna talk like it's regular life and not COVID land, but you get what I mean. If you're gonna go to a restaurant and say, can I get the gluten-free menu? That is daunting. And I have seen so many times, I guess it's because it's prepared safe, like it's prepared extremely gluten-free for people who have celiac. But if you just rely on the gluten-free menu, they're gonna give you the items that are like guaranteed gluten-free. We can have something that is prepared near something that's been prepared with gluten. We can have something that was used, granted if it's been breaded or not, but we can have French fries from the same fryer that they fried onion rings in. It's not, unless you have celiac, it's not that kind of degree, So don't rely just on the gluten-free menu at restaurants, because there's a lot more options if you just dig through the regular menu, and you can kind of futz with it and make it gluten-free, and you have a ton more, opportunity that way. So if you want the gluten-free menu, by all means, but I just like to look at the regular one and then decide and say, okay, from the meats, what are the meat options? Let's say you go to like a restaurant that's got like, I don't know, chicken marsala, chicken française, stuff like that. General rule of thumb is if you ordered meat that comes with a sauce at a restaurant, I just realized I didn't write this down. So if you're taking notes, write this down. If you go to a restaurant, they have meat that has some kind of sauce on it. Typically, that meat has been floured first and like either flash fried or sauteed. A lot of times the sauce will have flour in it. So what you do is you ask them to not flour it. You don't have to say, I have an allergy, I have gluten, I can't have gluten, blah, blah, blah. You just say when you order it, can I have the chicken marsala, but I don't want it floured first. Okay, then, or you can just get it with no sauce and make your own, which I'll explain. Okay, rice, corn, those are gluten-free. Again, if your baby step includes watching carbs and you're on a carb cap, if you're not yet, don't worry, but you are, just be careful of your portions, but it's naturally gluten-free. Cheeses, tomato sauce, any sauce that is like like I said, franchise, like anything that's kind of with the dish might contain flour, so you might have to double check. But typically, like tomato sauce, vodka sauce, stuff like that doesn't have gluten in it usually. Pepperoni, cheese from the pizza, which I'll explain. These are things that just are naturally occurring gluten-free. So knowing that, you can piece together stuff. Other option, bring your own substitutes. Now, as I talk about this more, I want to know how you guys feel about this. So when I say bring your own substitutes to restaurants, what comes to mind? What is scary about that? What is scary about bringing your own substitutes to a restaurant or a party or a freaking picnic? I don't know. Some restaurants don't allow outside food. If they don't allow outside food for a food issue, then I would be like, I'm sassy though. If I went to a restaurant and I tried to bring chaffles with me, let's say, and in a sandwich bag, I'm not bringing in anything crazy or whatever, but I was putting, to put my burger on and I'm gonna eat my burger, and they're like, you can't eat that here. I would say, let me get out my phone. I'm going to go on Facebook Live, and then I need you to repeat that I can't eat this with the gluten-free bread that I brought. I've never had to, but that is like, I actually almost want somebody to challenge me so I can be that Karen, that gluten Karen for once, and be like, they don't want to let me have my gluten-free bread, because I will, because it's messed up. But I can understand if they don't let you bring in outside food, like food like for your kid, or like somebody wants to eat their own meal that they bring, they don't want to dine at that restaurant. But I would think that a restaurant would get into way too much trouble anyway if they denied somebody a digestive food issue. I have told a waiter that I have asked a waiter if he would prefer I shit blood than bother him when he was like giving me attitude about needing gluten-free accommodations after I got my food. I said this. So I scrolled too far past. Oh, being looked at like the weirdo. If you're a weirdo because you're eating something, I think the person staring at another human being eating their burger is the weirdo. Trying to hide it and then whip it out. Imagine if you didn't. Imagine if you just took some bread out of your purse. Yeah, okay, it's odd, but what's the big deal? Think about it. If you saw somebody taking bread out of their purse, you'd be like, yo, that girl's taking bread out of her purse. Or if you even noticed, and then nothing. Then they don't even, nothing. If you are the fixture of their dinner, you have to feel terrible for them because they must be miserable company. Honestly, must be having the worst dinner ever to continue focusing on you. Drawing attention to myself. Again, it must be a pretty sad existence if your attention could be called so dramatically by somebody eating bread. People judging me when I start busting out the Tupperware. So if you're eating from a Tupperware, that's different. That's harder because it is more obvious. But again, same rules apply. What did I write? I wrote something sassy in here. Hold on. Where is it? Did I delete it? I think I deleted it. Unless it's in here. Oh, here it is. No. Okay, next point. It's only as weird as you make it. So that's the first one. Second of all, if the people looking at you funny aren't providing you, I know there is a NSFW version of this, but if the people looking at you funny aren't providing you with snuggles or income, why do they have a say on how you feel? And why do they have a say on how you eat? And if you get sick afterwards, bye. So, and even then, if they are providing you with snuggles or income, they don't have a say on you feeling sick or eating food. Last point here is chaffles are banging. They're so good. Like, I hate to toot my own horn, but it isn't even my recipe. It's a freaking chaffle. It's everywhere all over Pinterest. The one that I posted, I think, was actually the like a tweaked version. I saw, I think Hannah from our group posted it in the page. I think that's the one I use. It's just super easy and super delicious, and you can make them so different. You can, fancy them up. You can make them sweet and, instead of savory. Newbies in the classroom, go to the food replacements album or section and look at the bread recipes. I just realized you're probably very lost hearing all this, but the bread recipes in classroom, that's where you will see any of the stuff I've talked about. So, and yeah, absolutely. Like Beyonce has hot sauce in her bag. You know how many people I have seen with hot sauce, like pull hot sauce out of their bag or ranch? I have a friend who literally like keeps a bottle of ranch in her purse whenever she leaves the house. Like she really brings it with her. And no apologies at all. You know why? Because just enjoying her food. What a sin. What a sin. If you were thin, would it be an issue if you took out special bread? No, you probably say to yourself that, oh, but people think it's because I'm taking care of myself. That's bullshit. People probably wouldn't even notice you taking bread out now or then. They probably are in their own little world. And if someone stares at you, freaking let them. They're not eating it. So I get really fired up about this, guys. Let's see. Remember your why in everything you do. Okay. So everything we do together in this program, you want to always think about your why. Why are we doing this? Why are we going through all of this? Tell me in the comments now. Why are we here? Why do you want to try and feel better? And make it real. Like, I don't want to hear, no, like, I'm doing it for myself to feel good in my skin. I believe that, but also we know that's not like the deepest depths you could go. Why are we here? Why did we all of us invest the time, the effort, the money in this, to do this, to give this a shot? I'll tell you why I do it. I maintain the way that I know I have to keep my body feeling its best every day, because there is so much shit I want to do. Like, we don't know what our path is with kids right now. It's just a crazy, crazy time. But I do know for sure that this world needs a lot of friggin' help. So I know that the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if my health is a priority and I'm able to feel good about that and focus on that always. That to me, that is my why. I live to fill other people's cups up. That is my passion. And I cannot do that if I'm not prioritizing myself and I'm not putting myself first in that regard to be able to do that. So let me see your why. I know I got chills from saying my why. I want you to have chills from saying your why too. Trying to feel better for my future children. I am trying to make it to where I can honestly say that I love myself and teach my children the value in doing so for themselves. Absolutely. Absolutely. I did the, not to plug, but I did the women's health interview thing. It's probably nothing, but at the end I put in there, they asked for like 3 tips, and like 3 tips, and then it's like a 2 to 3 sentence explanation of those tips. And one of them that I felt like I had to write was, stop teaching your kids. I forgot the way I really wrote it, but candidly, it's like, stop teaching your kids these lessons about their bodies. I have clients sometimes say to me, their little daughters will say, Mom, am I too fat to wear this? Will I get made fun of? And then my clients will tell me they used to think the same things and ask their moms the same thing. So that cycle, it stops with the behavior that they watch, not even the behavior they listen to. They watch you love yourself. It's what they'll learn. I'm doing this to get pregnant and maintain a healthy pregnancy. I want to become a mother more than anything. Oh, love you. Jamie, to become healthier, lose weight, to prepare for upcoming knee surgeries and replacements. Yeah. But let's dive deeper in this too, like, to become healthier, to lose weight, to prepare for the upcoming knee surgeries and replacements. One of my whys is like that. I remember, my neck surgery. I never want to be in a position where I'm battling my body on top of battling my body. If God forbid something were to happen where I did need therapy, that is a big thought of mine, because I say to myself, I want to be able to bounce back fast. I want to be able to have that be, a recovery period and back in action. So that's a fantastic why, but make sure you're still thinking about what that means to you. Like being healthier and being able to handle any surgeries that come your way. What does it mean to you? Why is it so important? I want the constant fatigue to go away. Yeah, think about why. Why do you want the constant fatigue to go away? What is left? What is there in life that you want to experience that fatigue robs from you? You know, get like our whys. When we sit and think, like if I sit and dive deep into my why, I could literally just start crying. Like that's how intensely I feel about my why. Don't be afraid of that intensity, because a lot of times when we're used to things not happening the way we want, we run away from being that intense and really just completely committing to wanting something so bad. So don't. The more connected to your why you can become, the more you can stop and realize that, you know, this shouldn't have a hold on you. Gluten, being afraid if people judge you for being gluten-free, that doesn't stack up against these whys at all, right? So the more you can buy into that why and truly feel that, the more it makes sense to prioritize yourself every day. Worth it moments are supposed to be rare because there is not a whole lot of worth it out there to take away from the why and the reason that you are doing this. Having your family miss out, not being able to do the things you want. We're fighting like hell in here, you know? Match those priorities up. You can still enjoy, this is another video I have, you guys have seen this before, but you can still enjoy the food you love, but there is a time and a place. You set the standard for when you enjoy those foods and how much of it you enjoy. And in the meantime, you enjoy all the hormone-friendly stuff. Okay, so I am schwitzing in here. We really need to get like a little air conditioner. And I have air conditioning in the rest of my house except for my office. And this is a very cute but very polyester shirt. Doesn't breathe at all. It's not a good situation under here, guys. So gluten-free, take a gluten-free base. This is how I do my hacks. So any meat, like I mentioned, veggies, you know, I'll get broccoli, you can get broccoli raw, you can get sauteed spinach, whatever. And then you can get sausage from an Italian place. Like the options are endless. If you get the insides of a sausage sandwich, let's say, whatever. Make sure it's not breaded. Take off any kind of bread or whatever, or ask for them not to give you the bread. That's a big tip because you're much more likely to not have it. But add some kind of sauce. Again, I told you before about the sauces to be careful for. Chinese food is great, but I wrote this at the bottom there, not up here for some reason. But you want to ask them if it has soy sauce in it, or ask them if they have gluten-free soy sauce. That's the one, like Chinese food, to err on the side of caution. I will actually ask for it to be steamed. You see, I wrote it on the bottom here. I asked for it to just be steamed plain, no sauce, and then I take it home and I'll add soy sauce and butter to it and kind of just saute it up in a pan. Nice and easy. That's it. Couple minutes, and you don't miss it. But with veggies that they have, you know, I love egg drop soup, miso soup. There is I'm rattling these off, but in the classroom, there is an album dedicated to food replacements for takeout and restaurants. So definitely check those out because I list how to do all this stuff there. Okay. You can always just ask them to melt cheese over a meat. If I go to a pizzeria, I go, can I get grilled chicken with tomato sauce and melted mozzarella on top? I've never been told no or been given a second glance. So ask for something with the gluten removed, but obviously don't say remove the gluten, you know, just think of the thing that's gluten that's in there and then remove it. So like diners are great. They have tons of possibilities because there's just like something for everyone basically. I love getting like feta omelets from diners, but French onion soup specifically, I love French onion. I will just say to them, don't put any bread in it. Like don't, like just melt the cheese on top, no bread. No problem. Ramen, there's this like place nearby that I absolutely love, and I have them add as much as I can, like the mushrooms, the egg, double check that the fish cake they have is gluten-free, seaweed, you know, like all of the fixings basically except for the noodles. And right? I love it just as is. It still, to me, gives me like the experience of having ramen. Like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not having the noodles. I'll save that for like a worth it moment sometime. But at the end of the day, it's still delicious, you know? And if you think about it, you can have that all day, every day if you want. Doesn't, I mean, your sodium would be like, but you get what I'm saying. You could have that every day and it wouldn't be detrimental. So why not? Pizza, rip the cheese off, throw it on a slice of a piece of chicken. You know, if you don't want to ask them to melt the cheese and do the sauce and everything, just take the pizza cheese off and stick it on a piece of chicken yourself and throw it in the microwave. I promise, it sounds really ghetto and weird, but it's delicious. Yeah, Chinese food, I clarified that up top. You know, just make sure. If you have a good Korean barbecue spot near you, well, again, I don't know how that is with COVID these days. I have not ventured really outside my house, so like I don't know what the deal is in the rest of the world. But if you do have access to a Korean barbecue spot, those are awesome. As well as Brazilian churrasco rodizio steakhouses. Let me write this down. Rodizio. Because I can't type today. So the rodizio is, they basically come around to your table. They have like tons of meats on skewers, essentially. And the waiters walk around to the tables and you have like a little piece that's green on one side and red on the other. And when you're good for meat, you have it on green. And when you're done, you turn it on to red and they like give you a little break. But basically the waiters come to your table in like rotation with the big skewers of all the different meats. And they just like put the different meats like on your plate and it's so good. And it's like all you can eat for however long you're sitting there, basically. So it's my favorite. I miss that. And then Korean barbecue is either some places like and they make it so that you have to like have them cook it at the table, but you can find places where you can cook it yourself and the table has a little grill in it. At least at the place near us, you get like 2 hours. You pick your meats unlimited as much as you want. They bring it out to you in carts and they're very thin sliced meat. And you just like cook it on this little griddle there and it's so good. You can add sauce if you want. Truth be told, like, I don't know. They don't even marinate it in anything. It's still delicious. Pork belly, so good. Hot pot is another good one. That they have like the burner in front of you and they give you like a pot of broth with like all the stuff in it, much like ramen, how I described before. And you basically can order meats though, and they have special really thin meats that you like cook in the broth and you just eat and cook as you go. It's really cool. But try to find fun places. That's my point. This doesn't have to be a miserable death sentence. The sooner you can get over the embarrassment factor, this is weird that I have to do this, or I'm gluten-free, and instead think of it as all of the things I can still do gluten-free and try to find ways to make it enjoyable. The sooner you're gonna really just feel intuitive in the lifestyle. It helps a lot. So if you need help finding a way to love this, if you want to try and test some things out, go to a restaurant, if you need to text me when you're ordering, you know, do what you can to learn to make this adaptable, because that's the most important thing for it to stick. Okay, so let me see. All right, so everybody, I loved this lesson, and you know me, I love feedback. So if you can, everybody who tuned in live tonight, text me, tell me how you felt about this, anything that came up, if you have any questions. Just to give you guys a heads up, I will be on vacation a little bit. Don't hate me, those of you waiting for calls, but I took off calls from the 13th to the 16th because I want to be the best that I can be for you guys. And if Homegirl doesn't spend at least one day just not talking, I'm not the best I can be for you guys. So that being said, I'm still available via text. I'm staying my ass at home. I'm not going anywhere. I might not be as accessible, but I don't want you to think like, oh, Michelle, I can't text her till next week. Still text me, all right? Enjoy your night. Tell me if you need anything, and enjoy your gluten-free, lovely, whatever the hell you make. I'm sure it's delicious. Bye.